Hello adventurers, welcome to the Mythic Tavern. Today I'm going to be talking about why I'm super stoked for World of Warcraft Dragonflight. As you guys know, the expansion has been announced yesterday or a few days ago and whatnot, and there's been a lot of hype, a lot of concern and a lot of excitement and, a mix of all things, a lot of emotions. And here I am to talk about my own personal reaction and what I think about it and why I'm really excited for it. I'm actually more excited for it than I thought I would be, and that really has to do with what the expansion is trying to accomplish, and what it's trying to do is fix a lot of basic things and fundamental things of the gameplay and balance at the same time, while also being fun and introducing a few new things like the dragon riding, the new class and a new race, and just a couple of other things and whatnot. And the revamps seem to be really cool as well. I'm gonna talk about all of those in detail, but right now I really want to talk about the setting of Dragonflight. First of all, it's the Dragonflights, right? You got Alexstrasza, you got Caligos, all those big figures, Rathian. I mean, that's classic World of Warcraft lore, or just Warcraft in general, and it's nice to go back into that nice classic feeling of what Warcraft really is. So, no more Shadowlands crap and Jailer and all that stuff. Jailer was kind of interesting in the beginning, but I would argue that Dracthyr was the real star for many different reasons, and I'm not going to get into that right now, but I think most would agree that Dracthyr was a really cool villain, and probably would have been more interesting if that was the bigger focal point of Shadowlands. Unfortunately it wasn't, but there's definitely a lot of hints of that and where that's going to go. But anyway, with that being said, yes, we have awoken the Dragonflights, or, the Watchers have, as you guys saw in the cinematic and whatnot. And now the Dragon Isles are unveiled, and we have to go travel there on our boats, from Stormwind or Orgrimmar, depending who you are and what you play as. In 9.2.5, it's not really going to matter, because we're going to kind of ally with a horde. And actually, I think they officially said that there is an alliance between the Alliance and Horde as far as working together, and the storyline is in Dragonflight. So that's pretty interesting. It's work together expansion and not against each other like in Battle for Azeroth. So that's pretty cool. And cross-faction kind of makes sense in that sense, and yeah, pretty dope. So we get to the first zone, which is called the Waking Shores, which looks really good. I think the zones look absolutely fantastic. This is actually one of the biggest reasons why I'm super stoked for this expansion, because for me zones are very important. If I'm not enjoying the environment that I'm in, or the mobs that I'm killing, or questing, in the areas, then I'm not really gonna enjoy the expansion that much. I had to do it in Shadowlands, and I really didn't like doing it again. To level up an ult, it just felt very boring, because a lot of the zones were just not interesting to me, man. Like, Maldraxxus was alright. Revamp was really good, yes, I'll give him that. But, like, Ardenweald is disgusting. I really could not stand that zone. It's just annoying and stupid. And then, Bastion is just, like, kind of boring and, like, heavenly generic zone. And I know I'm probably critical of these things, and I know there's people that like them, and that's fine, Everyone has different opinions, but this is my video, my channel, so, with all due respect, I'm just not a fan of those zones. You guys can speak your mind as well in the comments, that's no problem, and I will respect you as well. But yeah, Revamp was really good, Nethrezim was awesome, like the whole vampire aesthetic. Casa Dracthyr was great, really good raiding in Shadowlands, and, dungeons were okay, but raiding was fantastic. So anyway, going back to Waking Shores, it reminds me of Shalazar Basin and a little bit of Thousand Needles. Not a big fan of Thousand Needles from Vanilla WoW, but, a mix of that could be interesting. I really like the long, cliffs and the long waterfalls. It just looks really cool and really, classic to Warcraft. So, yeah, pretty dope. And I think the next zone, which is called Anara Plains, which is a really big plain, open-ended area, very wide, is gonna be my favorite, simply because I'm a sucker for very lush green lands, kind of like Stormsong Valley from Battle for Azeroth. I would argue that Battle for Azeroth had the best zones, period, in any expansion to date, to this day. Stormsong Valley, Tersgard Sound, Drosvar, Zulzar, amazing zones, really dope that they had two continents. Thematically speaking, in terms of the areas that we were in Battle for Azeroth was really dope, but the systems and all that stuff aside, pretty garbage. Yeah, kind of shitty, but it is what it is. However, the dungeons were excellent as well. Really liked the dungeons in Battle for Azeroth. Fantastic dungeons, probably the best ones that I've had or experienced in a long time. Much better than Shadowlands dungeons, in my opinion. But anyway, with that being said, yeah, the zones in Dragon Isles are pretty dope, and the Arana Ruins, Plains Sorry just looks like a lot of fun. You got the centaurs, you got the mammoths, you got the proto drakes, and that just reminds me a little bit of Lich King because of the mammoth and because of the centaurs, and it just looks beautiful, man. And we get to fly around with our custom dragon and all that. I'm gonna get into the dragon riding mechanic in a little bit, but yeah, that zone looks like it's gonna be definitely my favorite. And then we got Zalvazur, or something like that. It's kind of hard to pronounce them. They have these really weird long names. Completely butchered that, I know. Correct me in the description, or in the comments if you guys want. But that zone also has the main city, which is called Valdrakken, and it looks really dope. And it also has the Tier Hold, which is the place that you see in the cinematic, that really prominent Titan facility, and it looks awesome. That big Dragonflight tower looking thing. So super dope. And of course it has an auction house, and it is the hub city, so really excited to be checking that out. Kind of sick of Ouroboros. Ouroboros was okay as far as the layout goes. I didn't mind it. I just didn't really like the aesthetic of it. But then again, I really didn't like the whole aesthetic of Shadowlands. But it is a Shadowland place. So as far as the aesthetics goes, Shadowlands definitely nailed it. I just didn't really like it overall. If I wanted more darker and grim stuff, I'm gonna go play Dark Souls or Elden Ring, because those guys just do evil, dark, gloomy fantasy so much better. And this is World of Warcraft. It's supposed to be a little bit more colorful and stuff like that, and whatnot. But anyway, besides the point, moving on to the next zone, Azure Span. I mean, you got Tuskar, you got the new Null models, the new Tuskar models, the awesome ice, the new looking snow, and like the red and yellow forest, and a little bit of Grizzly Hills mixed in. They even mentioned it, that Grizzly Hills was what do you call it, an inspiration for that zone, which is really dope. So Grizzly Hills, as you guys know, was a fan favorite for a lot of people, including myself, and yeah, very excited for that one. Looks like a lot of fun. Can't wait to check it out. And I think those are the 4 zones that we have, and I think there's one more, but it's for the Dracthyr race, which is the new race and class Evoker, and I don't know if that really counts as a playable zone for like the leveling classes. I think it's only a starting zone for the Dracthyr, but I could be wrong. Anyway, not really gonna mention that because I didn't really see many screenshots of it, but I'm sure it's pretty dope. Yeah, as far as the zones go, there's nothing in here that I do not like. I think they all look really good in their own unique way, and they're really big too. They even had to ask the engineers to increase the distance on them, so that's gonna be really exciting to see. Now, what else do I really like about this expansion? Well, there's a lot of things. Dragon riding is a really interesting way to fix the whole flying issue at launch, right? So you got, 2 communities talking about, I want to use flying at the beginning. And the other party saying, no, I want to walk and I want to experience the world. And, in my opinion, I'm kind of gonna be the middleman here and say that I can totally see both parties, right? I am probably more on the, I like to kind of experience everything on the ground type of a guy, simply because, artists have put in a lot of work. And I want to explore the world and feel like it's bigger than me, right? And whatnot. I mean, that was kind of why Warcraft was so exciting when it came out, because you were walking around and exploring everything on the ground for the first time, and you were scared to go somewhere because you didn't know what's out there to kill you, and it was just really gnarly and very punishing, and we had a really good sense of adventure. When you let people fly everywhere right off the bat, it kind of loses that magic, and you just fly over everything that the artists and developers have intended for you to discover, and that's kind of a little bit lame in my opinion. Now, however, with the dragon riding, which is really cool, it's separate from flying. You still cannot fly on a regular mount in Dragon Isles, they've confirmed that, but you will be able to fly right off the bat with your personal Drake, and it's a really cool system. You can glide around, do deep dives and stuff, and barrels, barrel wheels or whatever. Oh, sorry, not barrel wheels, I'm stupid. Barrel rolls, I can't speak today. So yeah, that looks really cool. You guys can see it here on the screen, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of Anthem. Rest in peace, of course, Anthem. Poor game, poor developers. But yeah, it looks really dope, and it's something completely new and different for WoW in terms of traversal and just flying in general. So I'm curious to see how that turns out. They also said as you level up, you are gonna get more, trained with the dragon riding. You can get more abilities for your dragon and whatnot, and at a max level, you're gonna have to go out and conquer more challenges to unlock more customizations for your dragon. So it's really going to be cool, because when you see a certain dragon and you know what it takes to unlock like that headpiece of the dragon or the horn for that dragon, you know what that person has accomplished as far as the goal goes or the challenge. So I really like stuff like that. I'm a big Mythic Plus player. I love doing KSM. Keystone Master, for those who do not know, and getting those mounts. I like getting titles. That's kind of why I play this game. I like achievements, titles, Mythic plus, dungeons, and a little bit of, I don't really do Mythic raiding, it just takes too much time for me, but I am totally down for AOTC, and Heroic raiding, which is not bad, and I really enjoy that, and I enjoy occasional PvP as well, so there's something for everybody, right, in World of Warcraft, and that's why we all play this game. But yeah, I think for collectors like me, I think that's gonna be fantastic. So dragon riding looks really dope and unique, and not something I actually expected them to do, so it's a pleasant surprise, and I'm kind of glad that that stuff didn't get leaked out like the other stuff have. So what's the next big thing? Of course, the Dracthyr, which is the new race, and then we got the new, the new class, the Evoker. So the interesting thing about the Dracthyr, it is actually the first ranged new class since 2004, which is when World of Warcraft originally launched. We have not had a ranged new class since the launch of World of Warcraft. It's kind of insane if you think about it, because all of them were melee. Death Knights were melee, Monks were melee, and Demon Hunters were melee, and 2 of them were tanks, and the rest of them were DPS and a mix of a healer. And Demon Hunter is the only class with 2 specs, and it looks like it's the same thing here with the Evoker. It's also going to be 2 specs. The Preservation, which is the healing spec, and then you got the caster range DPS spec. I think it's called Devastation. Kind of rhymes, right? Preservation, Devastation, pretty cool. So they obviously use the Dragonflight powers to do their magic, and they look really dope. And what I really like about this class is that when you actually have to hold a button to activate a charge up ability, right? And the longer you hold it, the more powerful it's going to be. And then when you let go, it's, it does the ability and does more damage. So this is completely new gameplay for World of Warcraft players, and anybody really. It just the class is just gonna play completely differently. You're not really looking at like ruins for Death Knights or mana for, like, I don't know, healing or mages or warlocks or whatever, right? You're looking at different things. So, I'm not looking at rage anymore because I'm not, it's like here I'm holding a button. I gotta see when the best time to let go and when is the best time to do my next ability and whatnot, and to maximize my DPS. I'm a min-max kind of a guy, so this is going to be really interesting for me. I can't wait to see what Liquid and Echo will do with this class. Very exciting on that end. So a new class is always an exciting time for World of Warcraft, man. It's something new. It's a completely brand new toy to play with in dungeons and raids and PvP. And of course, usually when there's a new class, they're pretty overpowered. I mean, you guys remember how overpowered Death Knights and Demon Hunters were. Hell, man, they're still overpowered, I would argue. Well, the Demon Hunters are anyway. At least, I don't really play one, but I would argue they're still pretty powerful. And of course, Monks were absolutely insane in certain times in Arena and stuff like that, with their really annoying constant rolls and all that stupid crap. But anyway, yeah, Evoker looks really good, really interesting. The only thing about it that I was kind of a little bit upset is that they don't have a tank spec. I like playing tanks, okay? But I know that we had tanks already, like, Death Knights and Demon Hunters. And there's a lot of other tanks, right? Druids, Paladins, Prot Warriors, and whatnot. So, for them to be a tank, you would need another melee class, because a ranged tank would be a little bit weird. And, I mean, you could argue if you give them the black Dragonflight powers, they could be tanking, but they're not doing that, I guess. Actually, no, they do have black Dragonflight powers, but they're just not giving them any tanking abilities and whatnot. So there's that. As far as the race goes, the Dracthyr themselves, I'm not sure how I feel about their physical look. I think they look okay. I think if they had like a dedicated male and dedicated female version, it would have been really better. I don't know if this was a time constraining problem or whatnot, but you know what, I'm not really gonna let that to the detriment of my enjoyment of the game. I'm just gonna look for the positives, and I'm gonna jump in there and hopefully have a good time and just have a blast with my friends. And I think it's gonna be great, man, regardless. Yeah, I mean, they don't look that horrible, but I think they could have done a little bit better job on the artistic side. And I'm just being honest, man. I'm not trying to be mean or disrespectful to the developers. I understand, there's a lot of things, and sometimes you gotta make decisions. And, you couldn't make a model like Alexstrasza as far as the dragon form goes, because that would just be a little bit too big. It would look really weird in raids, and the armor will look awkward. At least the armor on these things can look somewhat okay. But even then, I have to see it and play it to really tell you, yeah, the model sucks or not, right? You can only do so much from just watching a little bit of footage and stuff like that. I have to physically feel it I have to physically feel the class. I have to physically feel the race itself to really give you a full opinion on that end. But anyway, I think that's really exciting. I like their animations. I like their spellcasting abilities. They look really cool. Their visual particle effects and whatnot. And I think the fact that you can go over like a ground in the air and just breathe over people in PvP or just in a Mythic Plus dungeon run, I think that's great. Just breathe fire on a bunch of mobs and kill them, right? Oh, fantastic, seeing all those numbers pop up. So what else is really exciting about Dragonflight? You know, a lot of people say it's light on features, and yes, it might be, but I really like that they're going back to the drawing board and fixing a lot of the issues, including the talent system. The UI, I would say, is not really problematic right now, but it does definitely need a fixing and be kind of modernized for the current day of WoW, and I think they're doing the right choice by revamping the UI, by letting you put the minimap where you want, by letting you do, you know, just customize to your liking. And yeah, there's add-ons for that, so why waste time? But it's gonna be a brand new official UI, default out of the box, and you can do whatever you want, and you're not gonna need add-ons anymore. I mean, some people might still use them because they're so used to LVUI or something like that. I personally don't use any add-ons for my UI at all. I'm stuck with the old default UI. Yes, it is ancient, and you know what? Until they have mentioned that it's ancient, I actually haven't really looked at it that way, but they're right. It really is frozen in time, and it's really time for something brand new for the UI, and I think they're doing the right thing, and I think it looks great, and I think it's going to be really a good quality of life change for a lot of players like me. I want to clean it up. I definitely only want to look at certain things when I'm running a dungeon or when I'm just exploring the world and enjoying the beautiful views, the vistas, the waterfalls and stuff like that. So especially in an expansion like this where you you fly with your dragon, you just want to look at the nice scenery and appreciate the artist's work. You can take off the UI and just have a good time, man. Or maybe you're doing a really fancy, cool YouTube video and you just need to get rid of the UI completely. I mean, yeah, I know you can do that, like, I think it's Alt-Z or something like that to hide the interface, but you guys get what I'm saying. Like, you could still minimize it or show people certain things in a YouTube video that you really want to focus on. I think that's really dope. So it's going to be really good for the gameplay, the cleaning of the UI just in general, and even for content creators it's going to be great. So yeah, fantastic idea, guys. I'm glad that you're doing it. And then of course we got the professions revamp, right? I'm going to get to the talents at the end because I think that's a big one and I want to cover that a bit later. Professions, I think, have been struggling for a very long time. I kind of feel like they've lost a lot of their identity. For me, the only reason I really do professions is because of money. I really only gather stuff. I don't see crafting items any useful at all when you can go to a Mythic Plus and get some really insane eye level pieces and just have a blast with that, right? I mean, I got two 78s tier pieces from my vault back to back. I mean, you know, I got lucky, yeah, but like I don't even Mythic rate, man. I don't even play the game that much. I just enjoy grinding Mythic Plus, and that's it. So, you know, I'm item level like 265. I don't really have an issue with gear, but you know, what's the point of crafting armor when you have so many options to go get stuff, right? And the whole work order system where you can help people out and they can order an order from you. Hey, make this for me, you know, I'm gonna buy it from you, here's the mats, and you know, have that all automated, I think is really interesting. It's gonna kind of make the auction house game a little bit less micromanagey, and this is gonna actually feel more like a community thing. Like, you know, you have a friend that, like, let's say is a jewel crafter and you need jewels, right? So you know he's a master jewel crafter because he specializes in master jewel crafting or something like that. You can go to him, make a bunch of orders. You don't need to worry about anything else because he's gonna give you good prices or whatever, you know, whatever you offer him, the commission and stuff like that. I think that's really dope, and it also adds to the fantasy of the world as well. You know, in vanilla, if you had crafters, man, they were important, dude. That was the person that would gear up a lot of people with resistances for Molten Core or whatever, or Nax and all those places, right? Or, you know, AQ20, AQ40, Zulgrub and all that stuff. So it's gonna bring back, I'm hoping, that sense of community. Hey, I know that guy on the server. He's the most best powerful, you know, armorsmith armorsmith, because you can spec now, or weaponsmith on the server, and he can do this and that. You should really go talk to him and do a work order for him or something like that, which is really cool. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Ian mentioned that in one of the interviews. I think it was with Hazelnutty. Shout out to Hazelnutty because she did an interview with Ian. had a lot of really good info, and I think she asked him about what was it? Something about professions and what eye level can you get, and I believe he did say you can go as high as mythic rating as far as crafting goes, which is gonna be really interesting because I want to see how hard that's gonna be to get. And he did say it's gonna be pretty difficult to get to that point. Like, you're gonna have to dedicate a lot of time if you want to get that kind of stuff going on your character, and I think that's really cool. Another really cool thing is if you're mining something, like let's say you're a miner, right, and you're mining something, your gear completely changes to like a miner, and you don't even need to carry that gear in your inventory. That gear is like in a different separate slots that are hidden. So your backpack is not going to be filled with a bunch of quote-unquote crafting fantasy gear and whatnot. I think that's really dope, really cool, adds a lot to the fantasy, and I've been wanting something like that for a very long time, and I'm glad they're finally doing it. And, you know, that's about it for professions. Let's talk about the talent revamp. I think that's the elephant in the room here, right? So what's going on with that? Well, based on this picture that we see on the screen, it looks like this is a Resto Druid, and you know, on the left is the base spec, which is like nothing, and then on the right is the rest of spec that he chosen, or whatever that is that you want to be. Like for me, obviously, you know, I'm a prot warrior tank. So on the left, it would just be my basic warrior abilities, on the right, it would be my prot spec. And basically, I can mix in the two and kind of be like a little bit of a hybrid, which is really interesting. And a lot of people have been missing that customization option, or that fantasy customization option, I should say, class fantasy option. And, you know, I think classes in Shadowlands started getting better because they gave him back a lot of abilities, like Challenging Shot for Warriors, example. They brought back Warlock Curses and, you know, Auras for the Paladins. You know, the classes in Shadowlands, I think were pretty good, but this is really going to even put that even better, you know, bringing back the hybrid zone out or whatnot with these, you know, mixed talent trees. So it's not all the 3 talent trees that you can mix. It's only like your base and your spec that you choose, which is really going to be interesting. And then you can also do build loadout saves. So if you have a build dedicated for healing on your druid, and then you have another build dedicated to tanking on your druid, and then of course like DPS or arena or something like that, you can have 3 or whatever, how many builds you have, save it, and just click a button. It switches to that. You don't have to choose your talents anymore. They're already there. It's great. It's basically like playing Call of Duty Warzone and choosing your favorite weapon loadout that you just made and saved. And it's the same thing in WoW, and you know, it took them long enough to do that. That's a fantastic quality of life change. So in a nutshell, I am really curious to see how all of this turns out. A lot of these things seem to fix a lot of issues. You know, with the cross-faction stuff that's coming in, that's gonna hopefully fix tank and healer queues in LFG, and just in general, you know, you're gonna be able to play with your friends. You know, if they're on Alliance or Horde, it doesn't matter now. Do whatever content you want to do, you know, and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just pretty dope, man. The zones look great. Everything looks really nice. And it's like, this time around, they don't seem to be trying to over-deliver like they did with, you know, BFA or Shadowlands. They tried to... In BFA, they had, like, the islands, this Azerite armor, then the, you know, the Warfronts, all these different features that were kind of cool on paper, but very poorly executed and just didn't do well and made the game kind of a little bit boring. And, you know, all the standard stuff like raiding PvP and dungeons were okay, but that was it. But that was not enough, you know. And then in Shadowlands, you had the Covenants. You know, that's a whole different problem. And then, you know, you were forced to farm legendaries a certain way, this and that, and it was just kind of annoying, man. And another thing that I like about Dragonflight is that, yes, there will be renown attached to the Dragonflights for all of them. I believe there's 4 of them: green, red, blue, and bronze, and you will be getting rewards from each one. There is no player power in those Dragonflights whatsoever. Everything is cosmetic, and you can gain everything simultaneously, which is amazing. So it's basically like, imagine like you have the 4 covenants and you can get all of the renown at the same time as you know, progress or quest in their zones, which I think is great. So yeah, I can't wait, man. I think it's gonna be pretty good. There's a lot of quality of life changes that I like, as I said. They're listening to a lot of the feedback that are people asking, and you know, granted, there's always going to be people complaining about stuff and being negative. The reality is that that's just people wanting to complain because they just want to complain, and they feed off hatred and negativity. You know, if you guys do that here, you're just going to be, you know, kind of banned, or you're just going to fill up my comment section, give me a good algorithm. You guys want to hate, please go ahead. That's great. I'm going to give you a little nice smile. Obviously, if you say something toxic, I'm just going to ban you off the channel. But with that being said, guys, yeah, looks like a really good expansion, really solid, down to earth, not too fancy with features. sensible, realistic, and kind of what people have been asking for, and hopefully they can build upon that and make it better and better, and as the patches go on, improve a few things, add a few new things and stuff like that. So yeah, really exciting. But what's going on with the seasons, you guys might ask, in Dragonflight for Season 1? Well, in Season 1 for Dragonflight, it's actually going to be 4 Dragonflight dungeons and 4 revamped dungeons, or like whole dungeons, I should say. But here's a big kicker. Yes, the expansion does have 8 new dungeons. But it's not going to be all 8 of them in the first season in Mythic Plus. It's only going to be 4 of them, like half of them. And then the other 4 is going to be older instances. And then in Season 2, it's going to switch to the other 4 dungeons that were not in the first season of Dragonflight. And then it's going to be 4 different, I guess, older instances. And we can already see remnants of that in Season 4 of Shadowlands that's coming up in 9.2.5. So that's pretty cool. Kind of interested to see which, dungeons those are going to be and how they play out. A little bit weird that we're not going to be able to do all of the 8 new dungeons right off the bat in Mythic Plus. But hey, maybe, man, it's for the better, and maybe it's going to add some sort of more variety. But, we'll see how that works out. So really, really curious, a little bit concerning, but interesting. Sure is not something that I expected them to do, but I'm sure there's a reason why they chose to do that, and let's see if it works out or not. And the only way we'll find out is when we get to play it. But with that being said, guys, this is the reasons why I'm so excited for Dragonflight. I don't know if you share the same sentiments. If you do, please like, subscribe, and also let us know what you do share as far as the sentiments go in the comment section down below and whatnot. And if you don't like the expansion, or there's something that you're not interested in or that you're worried about, feel free to, talk about that in the comment section as well, man. It's okay to have a conversation as long as it's civil and respectful. Everyone has their opinions, concerns, and I completely understand that. But with that being said, guys, thank you, Blizzard, if you're watching this. Probably not, but in case you are, awesome announcement. I am looking forward to it personally. Really cool stuff. I hope everything goes well for you guys, and I'm hoping you can also deliver, and I'm somewhat confident. I'm a little bit more than confident that you will deliver on this end. Keep up the good job, keep working hard, and I can't wait to try out the beta or alpha or whenever that starts, and play the game in Q1 of 2023. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed it, once again, please like, subscribe, and I will be seeing you soon, guys.